Welcome back to part 2 of me answering questions in front of a webcam. I'm Marauder X, and this is my 600 subscriber special where I answer your questions. We left off several questions from Gitter77, or Gitter7. Again, if I'm screwing up names, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. I fail. Several questions. First one, for all of the many platforms, PC included, that make up your gaming collection, what are the top few that you are looking forward to coming out, period, as of nowadays? By this I mean upcoming games getting released, period, somewhere, as well as the theoretical cream of the crop for fan translation projects. As far as fan translation projects, thanks to Reign of Hearts, I've been kept up to date on the Dragon Force 2 translation project. I'd love to play Dragon Force 2. I've heard it's not really as good as the first one, but I love the customization aspect of it, where you can mix and match your troop types. And after watching him play it, I really want to play that game. As far as upcoming games, I'm really looking forward to Sonic Generations, mainly because I miss playing good Sonic games. That's really it. I have not liked Sonic games since Sonic Adventure 1. Like I didn't even really like Sonic Adventure 2. The graphic style of Sonic looked a little weird, and the controls felt weird to me. I couldn't do it. I might go back and try to give it another shot. I have it for the Dreamcast, but I remember getting the demo for it with Phantasy Star, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. So Sonic Generations is one I'm really looking forward to. I will go ahead and give the Operation Rainfall shout out. I'm really looking forward to a glimmer of hope that Xenoblade and The Last Story make it to the United States. For all of you viewing outside of the United States, please go out and buy those games and enjoy them. It's few and far between that a JRPG comes out nowadays, and it's even fewer and farther between when good ones come out, and apparently we're just not going to get them. So please go out and buy those if you get a chance, if you have the disposable income to do so. Those are ones that I would really like to play, but I'm not holding my breath. Nintendo seems adamant about not supporting the Wii now that the Wii U's announced, and that's sadly an American concept. Oh, we've got a new one coming out, let's ditch the old one. Sega. That's why Sega's not doing consoles anymore, because that happened with the Saturn and the Dreamcast, and yeah. Other than that, I'm not really looking forward to any games. Everyone's like, well, you're not looking forward. Like, I really can't stand a lot of the newer games coming out. I really can't. I think I've hit that old man phase in life where these games just seem pointless and dick. I don't, especially with all the fanboy hatred between like the Battlefield and the Modern Warfare 3 arguments going on. I've just seen some ridiculously stupid comments on both sides. It's a war game. There's dozens of them out there. I'm tired of games that are... Well, I'm tired of a lot of first-person shooters. The only first-person shooter that I can still play nowadays is Team Fortress 2 or Unreal. Like, I've got Unreal Tournament 2, and those are the only two first-person shooters that I can still play. Because they don't take themselves too seriously. I'm tired of games and gamers who take themselves too damn seriously. And a lot of the games coming out do. Battlefield, Modern Warfare, Gears of War 3 obviously takes itself way too seriously. The first one was great. The second one, the story was a little, okay, you're stretching this really far. The multiplayer was a lot better, though. 3 just makes no sense to me. It's like you've stretched this way too far. This has just become ridiculous. Goddamn ridiculous at this point. And I'm getting tired of a lot of the sequels doing that. I haven't got into the Mass Effect series, but I own 2. And I'm going to be picking up 1, and therefore I can just play through all of it once. I've seen it played, so I have a feeling I'd like it. But as it is now, since I haven't really played in depth the Mass Effect games, I'm not really looking forward to 3. I've got friends who are just foaming at the mouth over it, but just eh. As far as it, Sonic Generations is really one of the few games. That and Skyward Sword. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. I don't really like the cell shaded. I really wish they'd kept the Twilight Princess look, but it's a Zelda game. They're going to make a little change that pisses someone off. It's just how it works. So, second question asked by Gator7. What legends and or wisdom can you impart regarding one of the greatest RPG gaming session foods of all time? Pizza. I actually had pizza for dinner last night, so I can talk about this one all day. If you're talking about pen and paper RPG, like Dungeons & Dragons, Shadowrun, GURPS, Exalted, Vampire, what have you, if it's pen and paper, tabletop RPG, you want to go for quantity over quality. Yes. Because, no. You want to go with quantity. Because most of the time with that, you're going to be sitting there eating pizza. At least all the gaming sessions that I ever did. We did them all night. Like, we'd start in the mid-afternoon, and we would keep going until the sun came up before sleeping. Because that's just, we're dorks, and that's how we roll. Dice, that's how we roll. Sorry, I just completely derailed myself with that. So at like 3 in the morning, pizza's pizza. So don't spend all of your money on really good pizza that you're only going to get like a slice a piece out of, because you're going to want to have more than enough to last you to that 3 in the morning mark when you're going, damn, I need some food because my brain has shut completely the hell off. So I'd always go with the cheap bulk pizzas with those. Typically we'd go with Domino's in those. Granted, most of my friends back then really loved Papa John's. I can't do Papa John's anymore. There's just something about the sauce that just kills my stomach. But Papa John's is kind of a happy medium between quality and quantity. But if you're doing like LAN gaming, any of the LAN parties we ever threw, we would always go for the really good pizza. Because you're going to step away to eat. Because you don't want to get grease or drop pepperoni or sauce on your gaming rig. The last thing you want is greasy fingers typing, trying to do whatever. Most of the time we were doing that, we were playing Counter-Strike. So, yeah, lots of bullets to the face. And you don't want to slip off of the WASD buttons or something, whatever. So, you're more likely to step away from the computer, and you're going to be sitting there talking to someone else who's also decided, hey, that guy's eating. I just realized I'm hungry too. So you're going to sit there and you're going to talk for a second while eating. So you're going to slow down and savor the food. So those situations you want to go with a good pizza. As far as toppings, you really can't go wrong with a lot of toppings. Pepperoni's my favorite. Like, I love pepperoni and cheese. Bacon, depending on who makes the bacon, because if it's not well-cooked bacon, it's ass. I love crunchy bacon this has been microwaved, so it's rubbery and stretchy. No, that's not bacon. That's glorified ham. Like Canadian bacon. You Canadians and your bacon. No, Canadian bacon, Italian sausage is also a good one, though it's spicy as hell, and therefore will kill you slowly and painfully from the inside out. I also love garlic, like the garlic powder that you can put on garlic bread. Yeah, but I'm weird, so just ignore that. Ranch is also a good one. Ranch and barbecue sauce, not together, but that would just be, yeah. My favorite for the quality pizza is New York style. The thinner crust, the stuff you've got to fold to eat. typically very greasy, will clog your arteries in under a minute. That's the type of pizza that I'd go for. So that's my gaming, or that's my pizza gaming wisdom. It all depends on the type of gaming you're doing, honestly. So just keep that in mind as far as my preference. Third question: what is good in life? I have two answers to this. The first one is to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. If you guys get that, more power to you. And I really hope that's where you were going with this. That is an old Conan. If you remember, if you've ever seen Conan the Barbarian, the live-action movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're all sitting around a campfire. All these hardened warriors are sitting around it. It's like, what's good in life? And they start, and Conan's response, and to the point to where even Robot Chicken did a spoof of it, where Conan singing about like being a kid and his best friend having ice cream, and then he cuts his best friend's head off, and he's in high school and he has a crush on a girl, and then he stabs the girl's best friend because they keep getting in the way, and then he sings the "Crush Your Enemies" to see the. It's hilarious. I love it. Love it. So that's the answer I go with. Otherwise, if you're going from my personal, what's best in life? Friends, family, and good entertainment. That's it. If you've got good entertainment and people to share it with, that's all that matters in life. That's really it. That's why I love games so much. That's why I'm really happy that I got my wife into gaming. She's almost as big of a gamer dork as I am now. In some regards, bigger, because she still kept playing Final Fantasy XI, where I've taken. I've stopped playing. Like I'm getting into it slowly, but it just I've been out of it too long, so it's taking me a really long time to get back into the swing of things. And that's one of the best things ever, is just sitting with her and playing video, like my Story of Kingdom Hearts. I love sitting there playing a game with her. Luth and Culex and all of them. I love just sitting there playing games with them and just dicking off completely, and the jokes and the laughter. And if it's not games, it's movies or television. I just love sitting around with them, making jokes and having fun. That is what's good in life, is friends, family, and a good laugh. So, or to crush your enemies and all that jazz. Two questions asked by Varshal. Varshal, I love your name and your profile picture. So much so that I actually just got a new phone. I got a Incredible 2. And I don't know if you can see it on here. Yeah, the glare's a bit much. My phone is Dragon Force themed now. So all of my friends have Dragon Force portraits. And so I tip my hat to you, sir, because your profile picture and name are fan-freaking-tastic. I don't have anyone on my phone that has Varshal's profile picture, though. So maybe if I meet someone who has a personality of Varshal, we'll get to that. But anyway, your questions are, what is your favorite Working Designs title? That's a really, really tough question. And it stumped me, honestly, because I love them all. If I had to pick, I've narrowed it down as far as two aspects. If I'm going for gameplay, I would go with Dragon Force, obviously, because that one, the gameplay is just fantastic. But if I'm going with like quirky, fun translation, there's a two-way tie between Popful Mail for the Sega CD. I've never played it, but I've watched a complete Let's Play of it, and I just love the dialogue. It's hilarious. It reminds me very heavily of the early 90s anime. I don't know why, I just loved it. Or Magic Knight Rayearth, which was... They did a really good job of sticking to the story of the game, or the story of the graphic novel. with the translation, but then adding in their own unique humor into the parts that didn't have too much of an impact, and just their own little things, which really make me miss Working Designs as a company. It's just the little Easter eggs they would put in that were unique to them. So it's kind of a weird three-way tie. I'd say honestly it's either between Dragon Force or Magic Knight, but Popful Mail was just fun, and I really think I would rank that one higher. I'd probably rank that one as the default for humor if I've played the game myself. But I don't have a Sega CD. I want one, and I will own Popful Mail when I get one. So once I play it, expect that answer to change. But as it is now, I'd go with Dragon Force for gameplay and probably Magic Knight for humor. And then your second question, another one that stumped me. You had fantastic questions, sir. If you could become any video game character, who would it be? And this one just started getting me thinking a lot of, well, you know, you've got the video game characters who have really good character development, and therefore you watch them grow as a character, and you're like, that's awesome. Like Ryudo from Grandia 2, Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia, who was voiced by the same guy. Haha, I got a text message, which is the same as I found an item. Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia, has the same voice as Robin from Teen Titans, which makes it almost impossible to listen to that. So you've got those types of characters that have the really good character progression. And then you've also got characters that are like really cool utilitarian characters, like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I hate Cloud as a character because he's just a little too emo and whiny. Like they could have drawn it back a little bit, especially in like Advent Children. It's like, stop being such a whiny bitch. People die, especially when you're going around with a sword bigger than you are. Did you weep over the families of the random thousands of faceless soldiers you killed? No! Shut your trap. Sorry your girlfriend died, but... Anyway, he's awesome utilitarian because he's got superpowers of his own in the game or in Advent. Like, he can jump like 500 feet into the air. He can sword fight on a motorcycle. And then you sit here and equip little pieces of rock to your armor or weapon, and then you can summon gods. That's awesome. I could go for that. And then you've got kind of in-between characters like Alucard from Symphony of the Night, who also a little too emo, a little too whiny, but he's got really cool magic spells where he can launch fireballs out of his cape. He can turn into a bat and wolf and poison mist, and he gets all these really cool familiars, like a sword that's sentient and floats around him and attacks things, or ghosts that drain life and give it back to him. And yeah, that's really hard to say. It really is. I could go for any of those characters. If I had to pick one, I'd say maybe Alucard, because I mean most of his abilities aren't dependent on other things. Like you still need a sword and shield and armor, but he still has some really good intrinsic abilities. So if I'm going for utilitarian, I'd go with Alucard. But if I'm going with like really cool progression, I'd actually go with Vice from Skies of Arcadia. I've said that one before, mainly because that's just a kick-ass world to live in, and he didn't have a lot of character development, but I loved how you could answer questions for him, and that was one of the first games that did you answer questions and it changed how people perceive you. So we're gonna go with those. This is gonna also be a little bit longer of a video than I wanted it to be. What is your these three questions are asked by Skelly1091. First one is, what is your favorite RPG? If you're going with if you're breaking RPGs down into their subtypes, like strategy RPG, it'd be Dragon Force or Shining Force 2, depending on how you categorize that. Probably Dragon Force for strategy. Then you've got, if you're looking at JRPGs, Tales of Symphonia probably eke out above like Skies of Arcadia or Grandia 2. Chrono Trigger would probably be more up there than either of those if you're going traditional turn-based JRPG. If you're looking at Western RPGs, the only Western RPG that I've really played that I really like is Fallout 3, and that's just it. So it all depends on the genre of RPG, really. So I'd go with Dragon Force for strategy, Chrono Trigger for JRPG, Fallout 3 for Western RPG. The second question, which of the Shining games do you think would be a good game to start the series off with? The best one to start off with would be Shining Force 2, but that will also kind of make all the other ones you play after that seem a little cheap. And that's because Shining Force 2 had a really good... It wasn't chapter-based. Shining Force 1 and 3 are chapter-based, so once you finish a chapter, you can't go back to another chapter. So if there's a town that you meet you're in chapter 1, you can't go back to that town when you're in chapter 2. In fact, even in the same chapter, once you've left an area, you can't go back. So there is no backtracking through the game. So if you miss something, you've missed it. That's it. Shining Force 2, if you've missed something, once you hit a certain point in the game, you can go back and see if you can try to refind it. Some things can't be refound, but a good majority of them can. And then, as far as the other Shining games that are not strategy RPGs, they're just different. You've got the dungeon crawlers like Shining the Holy Ark and Shining in the Darkness. You've got Shining Wisdom, Shining Soul, and Shining Soul 2 that are the Zelda-esque games. Granted, the Shining Soul series I'd link closer to Secret of Mana or Seiken Densetsu because of just how the gameplay mechanics feel a little different. But Shining Wisdom is definitely a Zelda clone. So, I mean, it all depends on what type of game you're looking for. If you're going for the strategy RPGs or just the series in general, Shining Force 2 to start with. Third question, how long does it usually take you to make your videos? And this is another really good one. I hadn't thought about this until you asked it. But it takes a damn long time. I mean, God. If I do a 25-minute movie, that's 25 minutes. Or longer, depending on if it's a game that I have to edit out random battles, like Shining the Holy Ark. If it was a 25-minute video, I probably did 30 to 35 minutes that I recorded straight, and I had to edit out 5 to 10 minutes solid of just random battles. So, I mean, it all depends on what I'm doing. And then once I've recorded the video, it takes me another 10 minutes or so to encode it properly and edit it. So each video can take me anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes or an hour, depending on how long it takes. So, yeah, that can take a while. And I hadn't thought about that until you asked. So, yeah, it takes a while per video. So this is an all-day thing for me if I sit down and start working on videos for a day. Next questions. Nara Snore first asked what got you into the LP business, and I answered that one in the first video with someone else's question. Meru Wingley 1, I answered those together. So Nara's two questions are, what is your favorite color? Serious question, be specific. If you're going for a non-art student answer, I'm going to go with dark blue, like a Duke blue sort of thing. But if you're going with an art student answer, in art, I had the same art teacher for 4 years. 3 years in middle school, and then my freshman year of high school. I had the same art teacher. And me and this art teacher got into a lot of discussions because from an art and a scientific point of view, black and white are treated, in my opinion, treated very differently. In art, black is the accumulation of all colors and white is the absence of all colors. But in science, it's kind of different. White light, when reflected through a prism, shows the full spectrum. White light is all of the visible spectrum as one thing. And black is what you actually can't see. And so, like, a blind person who's never seen color can't describe white as being all colors or black being black. So it's a perception thing. So we always got into arguments about that because I'm a little, as an art student, I was a little more scientifically analytical. Makes no sense. So I would always say black, but she said I couldn't. Black is the absence of color. I'm like, no, black would be more. Oh, and we got black is all colors, or so that's a cop-out answer. And I'm like, no, black would be more the absence of color. And she's like, well, that's a very negative way to look at it. So black or dark blue. We're gonna go with either of those two, just as a simplistic. Also, what is the best childhood memories you have in gaming? I said this one in another video. Me and my brother hated each other for years when we were kids. We just did not get along well. And, yeah. When he brought home... He had a choice one year of either buying a Nintendo, like an original NES Entertainment System, with no games, or a TurboGrafx with a game. I told him I would loan him the money to buy an NES game. Because I wanted an NES myself. And he said no. And we got into a big fight about it because what I didn't know is that he was planning on buying the TurboGrafx and an extra controller so that we could play without getting upset at each other. So I went with that as probably one of my cooler memories because... again, we did not like each other growing up until we got old enough to realize that we have very similar interests, very similar sense of humor. So, yeah. I'm going to go with the first one of the first gaming bonding experiences with my brother. That's going to be what I go with that one. Because that one will stick with me for a while. Red Chaos Emerald. You are a bastard. I'm just going to say this now. I know Red Chaos Emerald personally. I know who this is. I'm not going to divulge the identity of this person, but it's someone I know very well. And the first two questions are joke questions. Why did you kill those hookers? And my response to that is going to be, it's 3 in the morning. Why are you calling me? And the second question is, why are there so many ostriches? And my response to that is going to be, the brochure said there'd only be a few ostriches. There's a lot of ostriches. They only said there'd be a few. There's too many of them. Those two questions come from Inside Jokes. The first one is Assy McGee on Adult Swim. There's an episode where former President of the United States, John Adams, kills a hooker and hides the body, and they don't find it until modern day. And Assy goes around in the phone book calling every John Adams at 3 in the morning, asking, why'd you do it, John? Why'd you kill those hookers? And I loved that. That was hilarious. Luth and I hated that show until we saw that episode, and we have a friend named John, and so we just started cracking the hell up. It was hilarious. And we still hate the rest of the show, except for that one scene. So, yeah. The second one comes from Family Guy. It's Don Knotts in one of his wacky, crazy movies that he did after leaving the Andy Griffith Show. Making fun of it. It's like, Don Knotts in Too Many Ostriches, and he's just standing there in a field of ostriches saying, there's too many ostriches. The brochure said there'd only be a few. So yeah, that's what that means. Next question. This is a legitimate one done by Red Chaos Emerald. Is, what's your favorite Final Fantasy and favorite character from said game? Favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy IX, if I'm going with the numbered ones. I've spent the most time on 11, and you know that, Red Chaos Emerald. But as far as the standalone story games, 9 is my favorite. And my favorite character out of that one is Freya. Because she has just awesome abilities, awesome damage potential, very utilitarian, and her story is just so depressing that you just have to watch. Like, 9 in general is just gut-wrenching, like knife to the stomach kind of. They're talking about this in a game? So, I I loved 9. I really did. And once I got Freya, Freya never left my party. Ever. And last question by Sweet Zombie Jesus. Sweet Zombie Jesus. I like your name too. It's awesome. Asked, have you ever traded in a game only to regret it later? Way too many times. I was a dumbass little kid. I gave my Sega Saturn and my entire Saturn collection to my girlfriend in high school, only to have her destroy half the case. Well, a lot of the cases weren't in great shape to begin with because the Saturn cases sucked. But then she decided, oh, I'll just toss the cases and keep them in a case. Okay. It didn't bother me at the time. And thankfully I got my Saturn back. Thankfully, but I lost the cases. And now as a collector, I weep for that. One time I traded in a copy of Valkyrie Profile at EB Games and got $7 for it. And my dad was with me at the time, questioning my logic. Like, he didn't say that it was a stupid idea. He didn't say I shouldn't do it. He just kept asking in that kind of tone of, are you sure you want to do this? I'm a little bit older and a lot bit wiser, and I'm not going to tell you that this is a wrong idea because it's your property. You can do with it what you want. But I'm strongly hinting with the tone of my voice that this is a stupid idea and you'll regret it later. And I didn't listen. So, I mean, I've got a lot of those stories. Got a lot. I have not traded in a game recently that I did not have a duplicate of. So now that it's in the collection, it stays in the collection. If I get multiple copies or something along those lines, I'll trade those in or sell them or trade them to other collectors. But never again. I've learned my lesson with that. That's not going to happen again. So yeah, that's all the questions that's been asked. There is one more thing. I can't edit it into this video. I said I would, but editing into my webcam software, it kills the quality. And I've got this nice brand new HD webcam that I like. I'm not gonna kill the output. So in the description to this, I'm gonna post a link to this. In the game room tour, people were asking about the sword I wore to my wedding and all that jazz. I'm going to post one of the pictures of me with the groom's side of the bridal party with all of our swords as we're drawing them. And any of the other good pictures of all of us with the swords, I'll try to put in as well. I'll post links to those. Since people were asking about it, since, yes, I did wear a sword to my wedding. I wore a hand-and-a-half sword, that big-ass sword on the wall back there. You actually can't see it from this angle. But it's in the game room tour. I wore it with a baldric over the shoulder. I didn't wear it on my back. It was over the shoulder as a baldric. Yeah, because I'm a dork. But my wife let me get away with it, so all the groomsmen wore swords. Well, groomspeople, because I did have a groomsmaid, which is another story into itself. So, yeah. Now that this one's taking a little bit longer as well, this is going to take forever to upload. I want to thank you all again so much for all of this. Thank you for getting me to this point again. I'm so happy that what started off as a hobby has turned out to be so much fun with such great social interaction between all of you guys. Please keep the likes, the favorites, the subscriptions, the comments, the questions, the stories, the anecdotes. Please keep all of that community interaction coming into the channel. I love hearing it. I love waking up to like 16 emails on my phone of someone just going through and watching videos and putting a comment on each one. I would love to respond to all of them, but I just can't. I try to respond to as many of them as I can, but please feel free to flood my inbox with your comments and questions and likes and all that jazz. So, until then, I will see you all in future projects. I will do my best to keep in touch with all of you the best that I can. And yeah, till then, later everyone.